Welcome to Marvel Rewind, a Marvel Champions Retrospective Series. In this series, I will be tasked with defeating every villain in order, progressing from the core set to the latest release. The catch? I'm only allowed to use cards released up until that point. After defeating the villain, they each will be ranked in terms of their difficulty, determined by the cards available at the time. Thematic matchups, crazy boost effects, and sinister encounter cards await. Tune in every Tuesday for new episodes of Marvel Rewind. What's going on, guys? It's Char here, back with another episode of Marvel Rewind, a Marvel Champions Retrospective Series. Now, in today's episode, we are getting to the third villain of the Galaxy's Most Wanted expansion box. That is Collector 2, and we're taking him up against none other than the genius of the Guardians, Rocket Raccoon. Let's go ahead and get down to the table and see how it goes. Down at the table now, we are facing off, like we said in the intro, Collector 2, Rocket Raccoon. Let's go ahead and let's do the setup. So if we look at his main scheme 1A, it has the contents of Collector A1 or B1 if we're playing an expert, which we are. Then the encounter deck is made of Escape the Museum, which is his own encounter set, which is this one. There's also Menagerie Melody, and I forgot what the last one's called, Galactic Artifacts. So it's essentially the same exact command encounter set as Collector 1, except it has his own, specific encounter cards. Then it also asks for the ship command, but we're not going to shuffle it in because the setup says put the Library Labyrinth environment in play, which we did, and then we set aside the ship command modular set, which is all of these cards right here, the Milano along with the entire mod set. Oh yeah, and then the one modular encounter set is Menagerie Melody, but again, it ends up being about the same exact thing as Collector 1. Then we look at the other ones. We always have to add in our obligation, and then we have the standard and expert sets here. So let's go ahead and shuffle that up. So Collector is really an interesting scenario, and I don't feel like there's a ton of scenarios like it other than maybe like the Sinister Six, which we haven't got to yet. It's a scenario all about thwarting. The only thing you really want to do is thwart. You win the game. You can't defeat him. You'll see he has a mechanic where if you defeat this identity, he flips over. He has 10 health. He flips over. He loses all his stat buffs, and it removes 3 threat from the scheme. Honestly, dealing 10 damage to remove 3 threat isn't very efficient. So this, this encounter specifically asks you, in essence, thwart. You need to do a lot of thwarting. Let's get thwarting. We got some thwart cards to do that. Okay, you're shuffling up. I think that might be enough. So I wanted to choose Rocket today because I think he has a really interesting and good time. I'm going to set this aside like it said. I think he has a really interesting and good time when it comes to thwarting specifically. And we'll flip this over. So we start off with stage 1B. It's the missing Milano. It has a forced interrupt. When the last threat is removed from the scheme, advance to 2A. So again, we win by advancing these main schemes by clearing all the threat off of them. It pops at 11 threat per player, and it comes in with 7 per player threat. And then we have this Library Labyrinth environment card, which says as a hero action, I can take an extra encounter card and remove 5 threat from the main scheme. I don't think I want to do this early, but definitely on that second main scheme, when it comes in with 11, we're going to want to do it to hopefully accelerate us to a win on that last main scheme, but we'll see how it works out. We're going to shuffle up our player deck here. Rocket is really interesting. He deals with his kind of tech cards. He puts counters on them. He exhausts his weapons and guns to deal damage, but he also has a really interesting thwart event which says when you make a basic thwart, you can ready Rocket and then add +1 to his thwart for the rest of the turn. If we get a couple of those in hand, I think he has 2 copies. We can do 3 thwarting and possibly even rush down the last 2 stages in a turn. Obviously, that's the goal, but we'll see how it works out in practice. He has the Murdered You response on his hero side, which says after you deal excess damage to an enemy, draw 1 card. And then on the other side, he can get rid of a tech upgrade he controls. I think it's called Tinkerer, and then draw 2 cards. Tinkering. Choose and discard a tech upgrade and draw 2 cards. So it's pretty good. Okay, that should be a pretty good shuffle. We're going to go ahead and try and get to the game here proper. And, Collector starts with 10 health per player. Something has 10, but again, he can't really be defeated. All it does is do a little thwarting and, get rid of his stat buffs for the turn, which isn't, terrible by any means, but I don't think that's what our main goal is going to be. Okay, so we're going to set everything aside, and we'll go ahead and get to the game. Okay, so we have everything set up. Let's go ahead and draw up our hand size. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we do have a couple of good cards in our hand for sure here. We have a Civic Duty. I think we just go and rock with this hand. This is going to play for Helicarrier. This will play for 4 Justice. Civic Duty will give us +1 to our thwart, so we'll thwart for 3. We'll instantly get the Milano, and we'll go into the next turn with the Milano and a Helicarrier as a resource. I think we'll just keep it. Let's just keep it as is. Okay, so we're going to start this off. I'm going to spend 3 resources here to get down the Helicarrier. It's going to come into play ready. We're going to exhaust the Helicarrier to reduce this cost of this card by 1 to play down Civic Duty. As a hero action, we could discard Civic Duty, and my hero gets +1 thwart until the end of the phase. And now we're going to flip up here to Rocket Raccoon. We're going to spend the Power of Justice for 4 Justice, remove 3 threat from a scheme, 4 instead if I use a mental, so we'll declare this wild as a mental resource. So this will go down from 7 down to 3. Then what's going to happen is we are going to discard Civic Duty. I'm going to add +1 to my thwart until the end of the phase. We're going to thwart for 3 instead of 2 here. That's going to instantly clear this off, and we're going to advance the main scheme. So it says here, put the set aside Milano support into play under the first player's control. So we have a wild resource generator now, and this is going to flip over, and it's going to get scheme added onto it. So it's going to come in with 11 threat per player. And that's that. I think we're just going to ready up here, hopefully draw into some good cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Mockingbird's going to be really helpful here for us surviving. So, oh wait, I have 11 like this. That's not how I want to represent it. Okay, it's going to go up by 1 threat per player here. Collector's going to attack us for a base of 3. We're just going to take this 3, put Psionic Ghost into play, engage with you. And he comes into play, so we're going to take 3 damage. We are confused. This is not at all what we wanted to see, especially this boost effect. Okay. And then we're going to get an encounter card here. Assault, the villain attacks you. Can we even take another attack? This, I thought we had a pretty decent start here, and this went very poorly, very quickly. Yeah, I think we just... we just have to take it here. That's going to be a base of 3, 4, 5. We're down to 1 health. Okay. And that's that. Oh, wait. No, sorry. He should be at... oh, no. I think I get defeated there. Sorry. He should have started with 3 attacks, so he would have been swinging with 4. So I would have taken 4, bringing me down to 5. And then this would have been 6. So even if I defended 1, I would have been defeated. Okay. We're going to pick that up. All right, let's go ahead and draw up here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we have a couple cards here. I like the Helicarrier and Think Fast. I think we'll just keep this in our hand. We could just do that and then play a Crisis Averted and just get rid of the rest of these cards and try and go from there. I think we'll go ahead and keep that, so let's do it. So we're going to spend these 3 resources for a Helicarrier. I'm going to go ahead and get that down. It's going to come in with, ready. We're going to flip up here. We're going to go ahead and spend the Helicarrier and these 2 resources for Crisis Averted. We are going to remove 6 threat from a scheme. And we don't ignore a Crisis because we didn't pay with the mental. And then we're going to thwart to just completely clear this. That's going to go ahead and flip to stage 2B. It says, put the set aside Milano support ship command into play. So we get that, and it's going to flip over and come in with 11 threat per player. So it comes in with 11, so it's going to be a 6 here, and then a 5. And I think that's it for us. He's going to have 4 attack here, so hopefully we can live a hit, and we're going to ready up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 cards. Okay. That's going to go up to 6 here. Collector's going to attack us for a base of 4. We're just going to have to take this. Just 4 damage. We'll put the encounter discard pile right there. Actually, we'll just put it sideways. we'll do that. And then we have 1 encounter card. Oh, sorry, we had to take 4 there. So we should be at 9 health. And then take 4 down to 5. Now 1 encounter card. Possible geometry, insight 1. You are confused. If you're already confused, place 1 threat, I think it said. Discard 1 card you control. Okay, so being confused is pretty bad here, but it's not the end of the world. So we're going to continue on. Okay, so we probably want to get Daredevil down. Do I have enough to do everything I want? This plays Daredevil, and we can do a 4 Justice to just take 4 off of the main. It's pretty scary here, but I don't know if we have many options. Yeah, I think what we want to do is we are confused. We're just going to thwart to remove the confused. I didn't even put it on. Yeah, we need to play Daredevil here, so we're going to spend the Helicarrier and the Milano, and these 2 resources get down Daredevil. After he thwarts, we can deal 1 damage to an enemy. We'll have him thwart off the main, bring it down to 11. We're going to deal 1 damage here, bring him down to 9. Then we're going to spend this double for 4 Justice. We're going to remove 4 threat from a scheme because we paid using a mental. We're going to declare the power of justice as a mental resource. Bring it down to 7. And I think that's all we can really do. We just have to ready up here. Okay, we're going to draw up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. This is going to go up to 8. The collector's going to activate against us. We have to block this. That's going to be 2. It's 4 damage. Daredevil's defeated. Now we have 1 encounter card. Assault. The villain attacks you. That's really bad. I think we just have to try and defend this for 1 here. That's going to be 4 damage. So we take 3 down to 2 health here, and that's back to us. Okay. What are we going to do? We need to try and clear this this turn probably. So how do I want to do this? Do I want to take the encounter card? I think the answer is no. So we need to confuse him for sure, and then we just need to try and burst thwart this next turn. I just don't know if we can. It comes in with 8. It's really tough. Yeah, we can't take the encounter card at all. We have Crisis Averted, so we can do this, and then the Milano can be 1 resource, and maybe we just keep Civic Duty. Yeah, so we're going to spend the Helicarrier for Think Fast. We're going to take a damage just to confuse the collector so we can flip down here. So he's going to be confused. Then I'm going to spend the Milano plus these 2. Oh, no. I guess that's not horrible because we can just do Library Labyrinth next turn then to clear all of it. So, yeah, we still have to flip down anyways. And plus these 2 for Crisis Averted, we're going to get rid of 6 threat. And then I think we'll keep the Civic Duty in hand and flip down here and ready up. So you get to draw 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we need 1 more because we have 6 cards. This hand is really bad for what we're trying to do, but let's see if we can make it happen. So we can go up to 3. Now the collector is going to try and scheme, but he can't because he's confused. And now we have 1 encounter card. Attach to the enemy with the lowest attack. Okay, so he just gets +3. All right, so how much threat do we need to get rid of? We need to try and spend this as like a mulligan. So I'm going to spend 1 resource here to put down my pistol, but I'm not even going to add the counters because I'm going to use Tinkering. Choose and discard a tech upgrade to draw 2 cards. 1 and 2. Okay. Do I have enough in hand now? I think the answer is still no. But I think we can survive for a turn. I don't feel great about it. Oh no, we can't even flip this because it does indirect damage, right? Exhausted Milano, assign 2 indirect damage among players. So, okay, we want to play Mockingbird. We can do Think Fast again. That might be what we have to do here. Mockingbird will give us... I think we just have to go for it. I think we have to... I don't know if we take the... No, we can't survive another encounter card. I don't think, at least. Man, this is tough. I think we need the Heroic Intuition down. So regardless, we're going to get that down. We have 3 Thwart now. Then I think we have to... Do I have any... Have I drawn any of the cards that ready me? No. After I make a basic Thwart. That would give me almost exactly enough. Okay, so I think we just ignore... So I think we do have to heal here. So we're going to heal up to 4. And then... I do like speed a lot, but no, the stun is just going to be better here. We're going to spend these 2 and Helicarrier. Wait, yeah, these 2 and Helicarrier to get down Mockingbird. We're going to stun here. And then we're going to exhaust the Milano to get Civic Duty into play, so we can get +1 Thwart whenever we need it. And I think that's it. We have to ready up and hope this... thwarting doesn't really matter. Attacking doesn't really matter, because we'll just thwart for 1 off the main anyways, because this just removes 5, and we just need that big burst just for the end game here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this should be enough as long as we live this. Let's ready up here. It's gonna go up to 3. The collector is gonna try and attack, but he cannot because he's stunned. Then we just have 1 encounter card to deal with. Attach to the enemy with the highest scheme. Place 2 threat on the main scheme. Spend 2 resources of the same type. Discard this card. Okay, this is looking like this is it. Alright. So we're just going to use this hero action here. Deal yourself 1 face down encounter card and remove 5 threat from the main scheme. That's going to go ahead and clear this. Has a forced interrupt. When this last threat is removed, advance to 3A. We flip Library Labyrinth. Place 1 acceleration token on the main scheme, and then shuffle the rest of the encounter set into the deck. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Oh, okay. There we go. It's going to come in with 8 threat. So we're going to do this and this, which is pretty cool. And then we have a first player action to exhaust Milano and remove 3 threat, which I didn't even realize. It comes in with 8. We have this interrupt that we would have to deal with if we actually went into the next turn, but it doesn't look like we are going to. Yeah, we have way more than enough thwart here, but let's see what we can do. Let's exhaust Helicarrier and these 2. Go ahead and play down Nick Fury. We're going to have him draw us 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. I didn't even get to try a single one of the ready Rocket cards that I wanted to, which is pretty unfortunate. Maybe we'll give it another try, but that's all right. Okay. So we have all of these cards. We're going to thwart 4. Well, we're going to spend the Civic Duty here. Discard it, and we get +1 thwart until the end of the phase. So we're going to thwart for 4 off of the main. That's going to bring it down to 4. Then we're going to thwart for 1. Thwart for 2. That's going to bring it all the way down to 1. And then, I mean, we have so many things we can do here. But let's just say we play Jessica Jones and have her thwart for that last one. And that is defeated. When there's no threat here, the players win the game, and that is Collector 2 done and dusted on Justice Rocket. That was pretty cool. As always, we're going to go ahead and check out the deck list. Okay, so that was an extremely quick game. I'm excited to talk to you guys about the deck list because in essence, this is just Rush. This is an aggression deck, but it's yellow because Collector is all about the thwart. This is 100% a Rush deck. The whole thing about this is not letting Collector play the game. You want to rush down his schemes as much as possible using all the tools available to you, his environment, maybe the Milano when it gets to the 3rd stage. And as you saw in the game, it was extremely quick. I used my health as a resource. I got a flip where I could. And yeah, I do really want to revisit Rocket again in the future to just really take advantage of his own, gimmick with his weapons and whatnot. But out of all the Guardians that I could have tasked gone up against Collector 2. I thought him or maybe Gamora would have been the best fit because they had a lot of thwarting capabilities. But as you probably could guess, Gamora is being saved for another specific villain maybe coming up very soon. So Rocket was 100% my pick. And it got to kind of showcase his his thwart card. Now, in the winning attempt, I wasn't able to really show this off, but I do think the card is not bad by any means. It's called I've Got a Plan. Let me see if it'll focus here. I don't think it will, but the card basically says after you make a basic thwart, using your thwart stat as Rocket, you ready Rocket Raccoon, and then you get +1 thwart until the end of the phase. So even though it takes your activation, you can at base get about 5 thwart out of a 1-cost card, which is pretty good. If you have, your upgrade that gives you an extra thwart, you can get 7 threat out of it. And then if you have that plus heroic intuition, you will get 9 thwart out of it, out of a 1-cost card, which is pretty good. Now, the only thing that really sucks about it is that you need to be able to have your basic activation, and Collector doesn't make that super easy for you. He has a couple of cards that, like the Psionic Ghost, that confuse you. A couple of cards in his actual encounter set himself confuse you. And Exhaustion from the Expert set, where I tried to record, maybe a couple other wins after that initial win that we saw. That was my second recording that win. And I hit Exhaustion like 3 games in a row, and the deck just falls apart because it is a rush deck. You do need a bit of, encounter deck luck. But obviously, if you play any other hero that's a bit more like well-rounded or build the deck in a more well-rounded way, Collector isn't too bad. But enough talking about Collector. Let's get into the deck list. So we're looking here at our basic allies. We have Groot, Mockingbird, and Nick Fury. Mockingbird especially is super good in this scenario because you don't want him to hit you at all. Nick Fury and Groot. Groot is there as basically extra HP because Rocket's a bit squishy. And Nick Fury, he's just the OG. He's the GOAT. Now we have Helicarrier and Avengers Mansion. Again, as I say this every single Marvel Rewind, these are going to go in every deck, probably until the end of time in this series. Here we are on Civic Duty. This card specifically in this rush build made a lot of sense. If I had one of these on the board and one of the I Gotta plans, again, it's just another layer of getting more thwart. So let's say I had like my basic upgrade or whatnot. Let's say I had my basic upgrade that increases my thwart and heroic intuition, and then I did a Civic Duty. Then the thwarting turns into 5 threat and then 6 threat when he readies up. I mean, that essentially clears out that second stage all by itself with, again, it's a bit of setup, but it's not the most unrealistic thing in the world. Then we've got, our resources here. We're on the 3 basic doubles and the 2 justice doubles because we were playing enough cards, I think, to warrant the justice doubles. And we're going to look at our... Actually, let's start off with our Justice allies here. We're on Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Speed. I wanted to keep the amount of packed fees kind of low, so we did Scarlet Witch for this one. And I just thought Speed was a really interesting ally. He didn't really see the table. Daredevil and Jessica Jones. These two are just core box goats. They're just really good. Jessica Jones with their side schemes, and Daredevil can do some damage and some split thwarting. Heroic Intuition to just buff our thwart stat, not a ton of... And it's also super good because his I Got a Plan is based on his basic thwart. We're on triple Think Fast here. This is just a Guardian-specific support that you take a damage to confuse an enemy because this plays on a Razor's Edge of difficulty because it's a rush deck. We need that confuse to flip down to avoid some damage. For Justice here is just a classic, Justice event. Really not a lot to say about that. And then 2 Crisis Averted right here, which is just, it's kind of like a really big, area of thwart. It's just like a really big instance of thwarting because we have to thwart 7, and then we have to thwart 11, and then we have to thwart 8. If we get to the last phase, and we use an environment to remove 5 threat from the scheme, the new one comes in with 8. This one we can go ahead and thwart for 3, bring that down to 2, and then we could also use the first player action to just completely clear out and win the game. So there's a ton of considerations there, but again, I thought the deck was a ton of fun. Again, mileage may vary because it plays on the Razor's Edge of difficulty. Collector hits like a truck, especially. Let's go and see where he stacks up to the rest of the villains in Marvel Champions. I'll see you there. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk Collector 2. Now, we had his infamous other scenario last week, and we're on to Collector 2, which is a completely new and different take on this kind of Collector formula. So I think it's really interesting how much a scenario can feel different using basically the exact same modular sets. As opposed to his other like twin scenario Collector 1, where it really restricts your deck building in a tough and kind of unnatural way. You have to build very specifically for that scenario, and it leads to a lot of people not having it as one of their favorite scenarios, me included. I don't find myself reaching for Collector 1 very often, but Collector 2 takes that kind of same concept and does it in a different way. He does ask you to build your deck differently, but it doesn't restrict you from using like any of the core card types in the game. You can play like your allies, you can play like your upgrades and whatnot. You can do any of those things, and he doesn't punish you in some sort of like collection type mechanic. What the scenario asks you to do is you're trying to basically infiltrate and then escape the museum. You're trying to get the Milano back. So how you do that is just you're clearing all of the collector schemes that are there to thwart your attempts to basically get your stuff back. And you have to get through 3 main schemes, and the whole point of it is you need to clear the schemes. You're not actually defeating the villain in this scenario. When you actually defeat Collector in this scenario, his health points go to 0, his card flips over, he removes a bit of threat from the main scheme, and then he kind of just has like lower stats when he activates against you that round. And you know, it's kind of like a consultation prize, but the real star of the show, you need to be scheming on you need to be thwarting the main scheme over and over, because you need to be able to get that win and escape the museum, essentially. I think it's a really fun design space, and there's not a ton like it even now in the game. Again, I alluded to the Sinister Six during the video, but there's really not a ton other than that are really similar in the way it functions. It's all about thwarting. If your hero is good at thwarting, you have access to really good thwart cards or any sort of synergies that are really cool and novel. They're going to be really fun in this scenario. I chose Rocket because out of the Guardians, I think his thwarting is the best, even though I wouldn't say it's super great by any means, because he does have a lot of things that are focused on dealing damage and doing overkill damage, but he does like to flip down and take advantage of his tinkering ability and whatnot. That being said, let's speak on Collector. So Collector is really interesting because on Expert specifically, his stats get really high even after you clear that first main scheme. He starts off as 3-3 and then he becomes a 4-4 villain. That being said, he can kind of be gamed in a similar way that a lot of these early villains in the game can. There's not a ton of steady and stalwart, so stunning goes really far against him, as well as confusing. As long as you're making a good deck that has a good mix of like stopping activations and like keeping your health high and dealing with some of his minions and side schemes that you can put on the board, you can pretty easily manage your way through this scenario without much of an issue. I think that kind of the environment that he puts into play, the ship side and then the library side, I think it's a bit of bait. I don't think it's really super smart on the first turn, especially to kind of use that first player action, take the encounter card just to get to the Milano in play. I don't think that trade is equal at all, but I do think it's really good when you're pushing to clear all the threat on that third main scheme all in one turn. You can use that first player action, get the encounter card, go to the third main scheme that only comes in with 8 per player. Well, 8 because this series is primarily solo, and 8 is really manageable to take down in one turn, so that you never actually have to deal with that encounter card or the consequences of your actions as one would have it. So he gives you that kind of environment that will help you thwart if your hero's not very good at it. Even on his third main scheme, you can exhaust the Milano that this scenario gives you on that second main scheme to remove 3 additional threats. So really, you only have to remove 5, which is more than doable. The Milano is another kind of knock to the scenario's difficulty, because having a wild resource generator is just extremely good. And it doesn't even shuffle in any of the ship command cards on the second main scheme that would even make you exhaust the Milano. You basically just get to keep it, and you know, it just helps with your economy, stunning, confusing, dealing with threats on the board, thwarting, all of those good things. But I will say, I don't think Collector is necessarily a pushover either. He does ask you to make your deck in a very particular way, and some heroes are going to be much more suited to this scenario than others. Certain heroes with a 0 printed on their thwart is going to really struggle in a scenario like this, where other heroes that have really balanced or maybe really high thwart stats or a good thwart card are going to do a lot better. Again, I don't think it's a walk in the park by any means, but do I think it is as difficult as some of these ones in the A tier? That is a tough question. I was thinking like top of B tier, bottom of A tier. I'm trying to think of his closest comparison. Red Skull is another scenario that does a lot of thwarting. I would say he's probably a bit harder than that. So I could see, I could see bottom of A tier. But I don't think it's hard in a way that's unfair. Again, a lot of these heroes, or a lot of these villains here, I don't think are hard in a way that's unfair. When you get to this Collector and Zola kind of end of A tier, you're getting a bit dicey, especially in solo play. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of quick episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. At least there was one loss at the beginning, my first attempt into the second, that kind of I played at this razor's edge and was able to get the victory. Let me know what you guys think about Collector 2 compared to Collector 1. Is this one of your favorite scenarios? Do you wish they designed in this kind of thwarting space more? Just let me know all of it down in the comment section down below. Like if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already, join the Discord for some great conversations. We have new faces in there all the time talking and chatting it up. And that's going to be it for me. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy. Have yourself a good one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.